Hello, everyone. This is Stephen Christi, a mental health professional, and welcome to our podcast where we delve into the personal mental health journey of individuals and explore the challenges they've overcome. Our aim is to shed light on mental health issues and create awareness. Join us as we listen to the inspiring stories and gain insight into this important aspect of well being. And especially today, we have with us our Arjun Gupta, who is a counseling psychologist working on men's mental health through lectures and monthly support groups. He enjoys teaching research and statistics to students of psychology, and he believes that being above average at research can make a person a better psychologist. And yes, Arjun, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you over here.
Thank you so much, Stephen. So happy to be here. Finally, we're getting to do this.
Yes, after a long time. Okay,
Yes.
so Arjun, like your journey, I like to call it a mental health journey because in some way or the other, all of us are going through this journey, right? But regarding your journey, it was after you joined the MBBS course that you started feeling depressed, or you saw that you had symptoms of depression, and you also faced suicidality during that time. Am I right? Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Arjun, can
yeah.
you talk about
I'll,
it, that how everything started?
yeah, my dog has decided to join me, so I'll just leave him outside. Just give me one moment. I'll be just back.
Sure thing.
Taxi chalo. Yes, sorry about that. He can't live without me. Yes, my symptoms, although I didn't recognize them as symptoms at the time, did start when I had joined my MBBS program, and I was meant to start it in like 2 weeks or a month at best. So I was really looking forward to it. I was really excited about joining this program because I had spent the last 2 years preparing exactly for this particular program, right? And
Mm,
what changed in that time was suddenly how I thought about things started changing very drastically. So I was very negative at times. I was being very pessimistic, very cynical about everything. I was being very irritated, very easily irritated with things. And all of this was very new for me because I was just a 17-year-old boy and I didn't understand what was happening. I
mm,
just thought that maybe it's anxiety about, maybe it's nervousness about about the new beginnings, the new phase of life. Maybe that's just popping up. So I didn't do much about it in the first few months, in the first few weeks, and I just let it go. I just let it continue in a sense. So
yeah.
yes, that is how it started. And honestly, um, post hoc, I can tell that it's not a good idea to let your symptoms foster. When you start noticing them, it's usually a good idea to do something about them.
Yeah, true, true. So Arjun, generally when we talk about symptoms of depression, people generally associated that कि कुछ तो बुरा हुआ होगा. Yeah, something bad
Hmm.
must have happened in your life, or a major event. Was there something like this that happened in your life?
I wish there was, because it would have made everything a lot easier for me personally. Because we always, as you mentioned, we always have this question, right? What happened? What exactly went wrong? Which pushed you into depression? Like, we have this cause and effect thing, but there was no real cause that I could ever point out in my own experience, that there was no particular event, no particular fallout with anybody. I was financially very secure. My career looked set, and I had succeeded in the exam. Like, there was no reason, valid reason, as you'd put it, for me to
Mm-hmm.
experience those things, and that just confused me a lot. Because you expect there to be a reason, you expect there to be something that you can point to, and
Yeah,
that just made things a lot more difficult than they needed to be.
right, right. So Arjun, during that particular time, right, uh, when you started feeling very low and you started seeing symptoms of depression, okay, so what were some uh, emotional symptoms that you saw in yourself, and
Hmm.
how were your emotions like? Did you constantly feel very, very low? Were there moments of happiness? Were there moments of joy?
Mhm. There was no real moments of lowness. It was either a lot of anger and frustration, something I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand myself as well. And there was hopelessness. So there was
Mm.
no particular phase of sadness that I experienced. It was just either complete emotional numbness, or if I felt any emotion, it used to be something like anger, frustration, just hostility towards everybody around me. So it was all very um, um, directed towards the people around me, the anger, the the
Right, right.
the frustration. It was always directed towards the people around me, and internally I either felt very numb, um, or nothing at all.
Okay. You did mention that you were feeling very hopeless about it, right? You were having hopelessness. So if you could verbalize, maybe you could verbalize your thoughts or your feeling of hopelessness, then was it more like no, my future, nothing's going to happen in my future. I won't be able to settle down in my career. Was it something like that?
See, that's the thing. It wasn't something like that because my future was pretty settled. Like it was there was no real doubts that there were about it. What I used to think was that I was being a burden to my family because I was not really going to college. I was not really working on myself. I felt like I was not good enough for the people around me. I had lost a lot of friendships in that time because of the frustration that came along with this happening, right? And I felt
Right,
guilty
right.
about losing friends as well. Um, so it was all like a vicious cycle had started. Like I would lash out at people, people would leave me, understandably, and I'd feel bad about it. And I'd feel like there's nothing that can be done for me, that I'm pretty hopeless in these situations, that I can't hold down a friendship, I can't do anything. Um, so it was hopelessness is tough to verbalize or explain to somebody else, or even emotional numbness, because it's it genuinely feels like darkness. You get
Hmm. Right.
and it's tough to explain it to people who have only experienced very bright lights or very dim lights, but they haven't
Yeah.
experienced darkness. Uh, so for
Hmm.
them, my experience of darkness would be their experience of a very dim light only.
Hmm.
Um, that's the best I'd put it. So it's tough to put it in words how it feels internally when you are going through those things.
True, true. And I guess, yeah, what you said is very true that, like a lot of the individuals who go through depression, a lot of the times even, yeah, to the outer world, it seems like everything's very fine and there
Yeah.
is no reason to be low and there's no reason to be hopeless or no reason to be sad about it. But um, when faced with clinical depression, these are the symptoms that individuals do face a lot. And
Yeah.
Arjun, you mentioned that during that particular time you lost a lot of your friends, right? You were very angry on the inside, and I
Mm.
guess on the outside as well. Uh, so can you describe that whole phase that when you were interacting with people? So was it the case that you just would not like to interact with anyone, or whenever you interacted, it was more of the negative patterns of interaction that you saw in yourself?
What used to happen was I used to sabotage every discussion we used to have. So first of all, I didn't really go out or talk to people, and a lot of
Mm,
my friends at the time try to put in the effort and try to help in any way they can. So they'd like one or two of them would come and say, Ki, is there something we can do? And I wouldn't tell them what they can do. Okay, I just expected them to just know what's going on, know what's happening
right.
internally, and they can't do that. They can't really read minds. And when they couldn't fulfill those wishes that I had, those needs, they just understand me, just listen to me, uh, while not saying anything at the same time. That made me feel very frustrated. And I'd just lash out at
Mm,
them. I'd be like, no, go away, leave me alone. I don't want to be around you anymore. Just leave me be. That's what it would be like. And for the other person, that can be very confusing, right? What are we supposed to do in this situation?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was basically like that. I I used to set up conversations in a way where I would end up lashing out. Like
Mhm,
it was very obvious self sabotage that I was doing there.
mhm, right. So like was somewhere or the other, was this anger like more like a cry for help, but you were not willing to put it out explicitly to people?
Yeah, it was, and like I know it now that it was basically me trying to call out for help, but at the time I felt genuinely
Hmm.
angry. I didn't know what it was exactly. So
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. I can say all these things about it in hindsight, looking back on those experiences, but the anger I felt at the time was so genuine and so extreme that
Hmm.
I don't think anyone could have seen that as a cry for help if they were there.
Right, right. Yeah, makes sense. And so, Arjun, we talked about the emotion and the social aspect, but like even when we talk about the cognitive aspect of it, right? So you mentioned that you were not willing, you were not going to the college and all, but apart from that, if you indulged in any kind of other activity, reading activity, and something like that, like were you able to pay attention to things? Let's say, were you able to remember things properly? Or would it happen that in certain cases, somebody told you to do something, but you forgot about it? Somebody was talking to you, but maybe you were thinking about something else, not able to pay attention to them. Did any kind of such things happen?
Surprisingly, it didn't. I even then I had a very clear fitness regimen. Even then, I used to work out almost every single day.
Mhm.
However, it wasn't gym workouts, but it was just basic home workouts, just moving around a bit. I used to go on walks pretty regularly. Um, I could sit and study pretty easily if I wanted to.
Mhm.
Um, of course, it wasn't as easy as it used to be before these things. I struggled to focus a bit. I struggled to sit for longer hours. Just say when you're preparing for these things, you for these AIPMT NEET exams, you have to study for like 12, 13 hours, right? So that got reduced to maybe being able to do it for 3, 4 hours instead of 12,
Mhm.
14
Right.
hours at a so, yes, there was some changes I saw with my focus and with my decision making, but it was not that much as as the other aspects that we talk about, social and the emotional ones.
Mhm. Right. And yeah, and I think this is also interesting to look at it because you mentioned that, you were working out, you were physically very active, right? And
Yeah.
if you wanted to, you could still study because so many times in depression, what we see is when a person is depressed, they might not want to go out, might not want to engage in physical activities. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in any other area of your like, were your sleep patterns disturbed, or your eating habits were they disturbed because of this?
My sleep patterns were very disturbed. So I'd go to sleep at like 6 in the morning, wake up
Six
at
in the morning.
12, 6 in the morning, 5 or 6 in the morning. Like my
Mm,
parents would be getting up and I'd be going to sleep. So it was like there was a small joke that we used to make that I'm the night watchman at the
mm,
house now. So my
right.
sleep patterns saw a lot of changes. My eating habits. Uh, I used to eat less, but not that much because somehow I was still very conscious of my physical health. Um,
Mhm.
like not even particularly trying to be physically fit, but I was still very mindful of it. So the major changes I saw were in my sleeping habits. I used to sleep like 6, 7 hours a day, but at the wrong hours all the time.
Right, right, right. Makes sense. Uh, and so, Arjun, during this whole phase, and these were just certain things that were happening to you, and you did not know about it then.
Yeah.
What was it? Why were all these things happening to you? So, when was it that you realized that no, it is depression, and maybe you need to seek help of somebody else?
My parents realized it a lot sooner than I did. My parents realized it within 2 months, and they were like, "Arjun, do you want to go to a psychiatrist? Do you want to talk to them? Maybe you can share with them what you can't share with us." I did
Mm.
not accept it for 18 months. Okay.
For 18
Um,
months.
for 18 months because I was like, no, no, I can't be depressed. I don't have depression. Depression happens to weak boys, or
Mm.
depression doesn't happen
Yeah.
to men. Um, I was just very, very resistant to any kind of opening up to therapists or psychiatrists. I was like, no, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. Just fix me yourself. Yeah, I took it on as a challenge almost. If you can't do anything, then what's the point of your degree? What's the point of your education? If you need me to tell you everything. So I took a very long time to accept that I actually needed help. But when I did, eventually, 18 months later, started seeing changes in myself within 3 4 months. Like I was a very new
Mm,
person. Not
right,
completely okay, completely fine, but I was genuinely a lot better as a person immediately after.
right. And so, what was that particular point where you from being so resistant, like I'm just not going to talk about it, to
Mm.
just saying that okay, I will talk about it and I'm going to share my problems and seek help. So, what was that point?
That was 14th February 2017. I wrote this very long Facebook post where it was a very desperate attempt to get some actual social help from people, wherein I was like, look, I'm being told by these doctors that I have depression, but I don't really believe it. And I need some help, I think, and I need some genuine help. Um, Somebody who'd listen to me and understand, not somebody who's just telling me to snap out of it or get over it. And the response to that was very, very beautiful, honestly. Like, I did not expect that kind of a response. I did not expect anything like that. But my seniors from school, my juniors from school, my teachers, everybody
Mm,
just dropped in, telling me that it's okay. You can fight this. I have full faith in you. I know you're not this as a person. I'm sure you'll get better. If there's anything we can do, let us know. And that
oh,
was just so. That genuinely made me feel like, okay, maybe it's not uh, me. It's not a problem with me as a person. It's just something that I need to, uh, tackle. That's when I first accepted that this might be something that's not actually me. So
right, right, right.
that's how it happened, and that was the turning point for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful that, being receiving so much support from your friends. And I think that
Yeah,
does help a lot. Uh,
yeah,
and so, uh, I I like from what you have said, right? There were you had good friend circle. That is what I can say.
yeah.
That there were people who would come to you, and there are people who would, you know, be around you and ask you like, is there somewhere I can help you? But were there times where you felt that, you are being completely misunderstood by people around you?
I felt like I was being misunderstood, even though they were trying their best to understand me. That's the thing, no. Um, like they were doing whatever they could to understand me, and I was like, no, I won't let you understand. And that can be very frustrating. Matlab, even for me it was frustrating. He just understand it without me saying it. Now why do I have to say it to you? And when I did say it to them,
Hmm.
I couldn't find my words, I couldn't put it very well. And they again came up with something that was very stupid. I remember this one friend who told me to just snap out of it and
Hmm.
get a life.
Yeah.
uh, कब तक तू यही सोचता रहेगा, यही सब करता रहेगा?
Uh-huh.
And that was like um, okay, fine, I won't tell you anything anymore. Fine.
Hmm.
uh,
It
so
just closes off the door to that particular
yeah,
person.
yeah, it just closes out. ठीक है, आपको कुछ नहीं बताना मेरे को. Like, you're not getting to know anything anymore. uh, I'll just have to look for somebody else who might understand. So that
Hmm.
was a bit of a struggle to find the right people for that. But eventually, I think I did.
Hmm. Yeah, right. So, Arjun, looking back, right, I think when there were various ways in which people tried to help you, right? So, based on their own understanding, they tried to help you out in whatever ways they could, right?
Yeah,
So, looking back on it, what would you say that how could other people could have done things differently, right? Maybe they offered some form of help. Maybe they just told you कि हाँ चलो बात करो बताओ क्या है. Maybe that was something that was not working for you. But let's say what else could they have done?
I think what might have helped me was just being silently sitting with someone. I feel like that might have helped. Um,
Right.
just having some company, not doing anything particular, not really talking about anything, just being there for a moment and just seeing how
Hmm.
it is. Um, Maybe it would not have worked. Again, I don't really know, but I feel like that might have helped. Just feel that sense of companionship at the time. Some
Hmm.
companionship would have helped.
Right, right, right. Yes. So can you talk about what are the things that started to change when you started taking therapy sessions,
hmm
and
Before
how
accepting
did they
therapy,
help you gain insight or just come out of the situation that you are in
before accepting that I needed help, or after it, because those were very
after it?
two different kind of therapy sessions.
Right.
After it,
I think
I
you can
was
talk a little about both this phase, the
before
previous one as well as
before
the
the
other one.
acceptance was I was a terrible client. Matlab, I didn't speak anything. I used to knowingly confuse my therapist. I used to say contradictory things. I used to like it used to be like a game for me. कि आज आपका 1 घंटा. How will I waste your 1 hour today? Uh, and that I don't like. They were there to help me, right? And uh, I was not really helping myself either. So that
Mhm.
part was nice. But after that, I think I was just a lot more self-aware. I was trying to be a lot more self-aware, and those trains of thought that start developing. Ki, oh, I have 2 years of gap year in my curriculum already. What will I do in the future? I will do nothing. I am a burden to my parents. They hate me. I would be better off. Well, it's all these thoughts. They just start coming together at the same time, right? I
Yeah.
Therapy just helped me understand and stop those thoughts to a degree. After I was ready, I was a lot more open with them. Like when they asked me questions, I'd actually respond with honesty. I would
Mhm.
actually help them understand what I was feeling, what I was thinking as well. And surprisingly, that helped them help me. And it became a
Mhm.
lot easier for me to identify my own patterns, those very self-sabotaging
Yeah.
ones that we have, patterns ki we're just doing things that we know will end up harming us, but we're still doing them. So that way
Right. Right.
therapy helped a lot once I started opening up.
Mhm. Right. So Arjun, like throughout this whole journey, right, what are some important things that you've learned?
Most importantly, I learned how lucky I am when it comes to my family, uh,
Mhm.
like how supportive they were throughout, all the time, all those 18 months. Like they did not give up on me even when I felt like giving up on myself. So that was absolutely beautiful. Secondly, I learned the importance of opening up to people,
Mhm.
especially the right people, the people who are ready to understand you and support you and be there for you when you need them. Because I think it really helped me differentiate between the two. It helped me identify the right kind of people to have around yourself when you're going through something, and opening up to them as well. So those two things, most important things I learned.
Right. Perfect. I
and
think it's
and basically
yeah.
also that depression also happens to boys as well. So like that was very basic, but yeah, it was an important lesson.
Yes. Right. Yeah. That's very true. And I think as boys, like we kind of have this thing, we need to have it all together. Yeah. And yeah, opening up and being vulnerable to people, especially during this phase, is very important. Okay, because a lot of the times it's just kind of, we think that I'll get over it myself. I don't want to show my weaknesses to somebody else. And it in the end it just works against us, and it leads us to an even worse place than what we are initially. So Arjun,
Yeah.
towards the end, right? What is an important piece of advice that you would give to the listeners, and especially also to those people, who might be having certain depressive symptoms, right? So now, when you look back on the hindsight, you might have got a chance to think a lot through all of this. So, what would be something that you would tell to the people who have depressive symptoms?
Um, I think the best thing you can do for yourself in those situations is get an appointment with a mental health professional, just to look at what's happening with the right mental health professionals, whether it's a psychiatrist or a psychologist, just to understand what's happening exactly, and what can be whether it's something that's an actual that's something that needs to be worked upon, or whether it's just a high and low of life that's very normal.
Hmm.
uh, that's very very important. And secondly, opening up to people you trust um, is very important, because otherwise you'll just, as you mentioned, you might feel like you can do it all by yourself, and I'm sure that you can, but it always helps to have some people who are like your allies, who are there to help you out. Just
Right.
you can fight a war alone, but it's always a good idea to go with some people along with you. So that's
Mhm.
what I would suggest to anyone who's going through that.
Right. Nice. Thank you so much, Arjun, for coming on to this podcast and sharing your journey. And
Of
to all the
course.
listeners out there, uh, there's one thing that I want to say, that this is, we are talking here about people's individual journey. Your journey might be something that is very different. You might be facing depressive symptoms, but it might look very different. Right? So, this is just to create an awareness and kind of push you to go towards to a therapist or a counselor if you need help, right? And please seek out help. Please reach out to people who are out there with you, and please share your problems with somebody whom you trust. Yes, thank you so much, Arjun, once again. It was great to have you here, and hopefully we can have some more sessions as well, maybe on
Yes.
men's mental health. Would
Yes,
love
I'd
to
love
have more sessions.
I'd love that. I love that. Thank you so much for having me, Stephen. It was really a pleasure being here.